Hey guys, Dave Mason here from the Niche Lifestyle, coming at you with I think this is vlog number 8, and I've entitled this one "Changing Ourselves." Now, over the last 7 vlogs, I've spoken about changing, trying to affect difficult people, difficult environments, difficult situations. But at the end of the day, the question you have to ask yourself is, can you actually affect change in other people, all situations, all environments? And the answer is no. The thing that changes, for example, these vlogs and this information, all this data that I'm giving to you is to basically help you change yourself to affect change on other people. So the vlog tonight is aimed at everybody, and it's about effectively changing ourselves to be better communicators, better leaders in the stuff that we do day to day. So I want to talk about self-awareness, I want to talk about self-management, I want to talk about self-control. More importantly, I want to show you guys a tool, and even over the next 6 or 7 weeks, I want to deliver a tool a week that's going to help you guys improve your situations by improving yourselves, management tools, and I hope that makes sense. So before I do all that though, I'm going to tell you a story. Vlog number 6, I spoke about a guy that, one of my leadership guys that I made go to the 13 members of our team and get feedback from them. And if you remember correctly, if you actually watched the vlog, he only did 5 out of the 13 people, and the feedback was pretty blunt. Well, that tool and that information wasn't plucked out of the air. That scenario was actually used on me, and that's the story I'm about to tell you now. And it'll give you an idea, once I tell you the story, about the effectiveness of tools, the impact you have, the influence you have, and the control you have on your environment and the things that are around you. So about 15 years ago, I was not in a good space. I actually ended up, long story short, going to see a counsellor to help me deal with my behaviour and the way I was acting up. And long story short, that counsellor and I found the triggers, found the answers, but it didn't end there, because finding the triggers to your behaviour, especially if it's not good, is the first step. The second step is about taking measurements and steps to change your behaviour. So what this counsellor did was she asked me to go out and find 5 people that I may have wronged, upset, basically pissed off, and get them to give me some feedback. Now, unfortunately at this time I had one of our friends had just passed away, and we were at his wake, and there was drinking, and for some stupid reason there was a family there, a couple there that I knew I had upset. So I went to the wife of the couple, because she was the one that I knew was really pissed off with me. So I said to her, I told her the scenario, could she give me some feedback? Long story short, she said, oh, so you want me to give you feedback? And she wanted a bit of Dutch courage. So she said, oh, hold on, and she started drinking, putting it away, and then proceeded to give me one of the most heartfelt, painful bits of feedback I've ever received from anybody. she said that I was the most unethical, cold, callous. She called me, it's a word, she called me tapaware, which is basically Tupperware, a plastic Māori she called me. She was Māori, by the way. And she basically said that, you know, what did I ever do to them? Why was I so cold? Why was I so callous? Now, when I went back to the counsellor, she asked me if I'd done my homework and gone to the 5 people. I said to her, no. I said to her that I think I've learnt my lesson. The reason why I'm saying that is I realised by the feedback that I got from this woman, even if she was pissed, the impact, the effect, the control that my behaviour has had on people. And it was pivotal to me making changes to the way I deal with people now. Because it was a painful listen. Because the feedback that she gave to me was that I was an asshole, basically. And so ever since then I've made it not my life's goal, but you know, I've been trying to effectively change my behaviour. So what I'm going to give to you guys tonight is a tool, and that tool is called the circle of influence versus the circle of concern. Now, it might not seem like much to you now, but it'll give you an idea about the impact, the effect your behaviour has on other people and the people that are around you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the camera around. I've taken a bit of a shot. Now the tool I'm going to talk about comes from a guy called Stephen Covey. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But I've used this before in seminars and training programs that I've given to other people. Now, if you look at the blue area, it's called the circle of influence. The circle of influence is effective change, walking your talk, owning your mistakes, direct influence on your personal actions so that it affects other people. Unfortunately, the circle of concern that you see here is where we tend to spend a lot of our time. We spend it worrying about what other people are thinking, blaming other people for what we do, blaming our parents, blaming our friends, blaming our work, blaming everything around us, blaming social media for the effect of our behaviour. Now, if you look at this particular circle here, this is called the proactive focus. This is what proactive people do. They increase their circle of influence and they try and reduce their circle of concern. They are focused, they are determined, and they act to ensure that they walk their talk. The second scenario is what we call the reactive focus. You notice the circle of influence is smaller. So walking the talk, your words, your actions, your mistakes are smaller. The circle of concern is when you're listening to other people, when you're blaming other people, when you're blaming the scenarios around us, when you're blaming other people for mistakes made. Because reactive people, or the reactive focus, is where we take the blame off ourselves. And we blame the environment around us. We blame the scenarios. We blame other people. We blame other bosses. What we have to get used to doing, guys, especially when it comes to, and look up the Steve Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, circle of influence versus circle of concern. You've got to start. I get asked all the time, you know, what makes me so dogged? what makes me so driven to ensure that I bring about effective change. The key factor for me is focus, and making sure that I deliver, that I walk my talk. All the stuff that I'm giving you now is me walking my talk. It's a direct influence on the environment around me. It's making where my words match my actions. I read somewhere where a person was asked, if I suppose the question could be asked of anyone, including yourself, if you were hit by a bus tomorrow, what would your legacy be? What would people say about you? What would you want said? One of the things that I'm mindful of is that, and it doesn't drive me, regret drives me, it's ensuring that we're doing the right thing all the time, not just some of the time, all the time. People know people that are, when bullshit walks. The important thing here with circles of concern versus circle of influence is that you've got to be in the circle of influence all the time. All the time, 100% of the time. And not worry too much about what other people are saying. That's vlog 8 for tonight. I know it's a bit haphazard, and I have decided to wing it tonight because it's a bit late and I'm bloody tired. And I know I didn't do one last week, but I hope that makes sense. And actually I might do another one tomorrow just to make up for it. So Dave Mason from the Niche Lifestyle, signing off. Catch ya.